podcast, to be more exact. If you want to learn new stuff and if you don't even know stuff about compound stock earnings, go to our website, compoundstockearnings.com, and you see everything we do on there, and everybody that's with us. That's some are they're not here today, but all our instructors and such, and you can learn how you can email us, sign up for our free Cal Report. Comes out every Friday afternoon late, and it's free. Been published about 20 years of January, and the reason I look like I'm in the islands is because it's been so cold and crummy here and rainy. And today it's 45 and sunny. So I figured, boy, shoot, throw in a bathing suit and get down on the street. But weather's turning nice. But anyhow, compoundstockearnings.com. Sign up for the Cal Report. It's totally absolutely free. And it's the best way to know what's going on a daily basis or a weekly basis at Compound Stock Earnings, because you see all the emails that people write us explaining what they're doing, asking questions and such. And then you see the responses from our folks. All they'll be here today except for Joni and Randy. So it's interesting. I always come up with these fantastic, interesting things I find to mention right at the first of the podcast. This time, it's my continuing theme about not having to save money to retire, but learning one simple trade, which is the CSE skill of covered calls and our trade the moments, which are only a few seconds long in and out, and only one trade a day. And then Keith's more complicated, a little bit longer, not more complicated, a little bit longer trades. He's going to explain those here in a minute. And that's what we do. But anyhow, this article pointed out that people, they said 20 to 41 says, look, have $1 million. I say, look, if you invest your typical broker mutual fund, start investing 15, 20% of your salary today. And by the time you're 25, by the time you're 65 and ready to retire, you'll have $1.8 million, something like that, $2 million. We say that's a bunch of malarkey because, that's what you'll have. But I found a good article that specifically pointed out that $1 million 41 years from now, 41 years from now, I'm sorry, in 2041, 23 years from now. And so these figures are nowhere, they're bad about how much things will cost, but nowhere nearly as bad as they will be when you retire. Because if you're 25 today, it's going to be 40 years. So it's not going to be 23 years of inflation. It's going to be 40 years of inflation. And you're $2 or $3 million isn't going to amount to much. But just some interesting things here on this. The article was $1 million. How much will it buy? Well, this is in 30 years. Average cost of a new home in 1980 was $86,400. Now, in 2041, it'd be $597,000. I'll really dig into your money there. New car price in 1980 was $54,13. In 1941, now remember this, you're years away from retiring in 41. It's going to be worth $68,934 to buy a car. Stamps not a bad deal. In 80, they were 19 cents, and then 41, they're supposed to be $1.07. That's not all that bad. You don't buy many stamps anyhow. You email stuff. Gallon of milk, $2.16 in 80. 2041 would be $9.18. So you can just probably almost double those numbers. It'd be more like about $18. Let's see what else they got here. I think that made it. Yeah, and my whole point is when you're using the CSE technique, you're making probably worst case 1% a month. That's 12% a year, and if you put in $1,000 when you're 25, by the time I think it's 15 years or something like that, it's worth a couple $1 million. And at that point, you're only 15 years up. You got a long time to go, and it'll pretty well grow itself after that. So it's really important to learn a skill like any of our trading techniques. Learn those, make those returns 1% a month, 1% a week, whatever, and you will have something to do the rest of your life without having to sweat and try to save and all that for the rest of your life. And most of the time it doesn't work out. You end up dying. You end up getting divorced. All kinds of terrible things can happen. You don't end up meeting those saving goals. And in the meantime, you worry about it, which contributes to your early death. You worry about all that stuff. And you just learn one simple trade. And the nice thing is you can do it, and you can teach your kids to do it when they're in their teens, and because they can do it virtually. You don't have to have any money to become proficient and extremely good with our technique. And then when you do, then you can start off with a few bucks and grow it. It just doesn't require going out and learning a bunch of stuff and then putting in a bunch of money and losing your money because you just didn't have the experience. So now, getting talk about experience, we're going to go to our resident prisoner. I mean, I'm sorry, not our resident prisoner, but our resident client here, and that's in this group all the time. If you want to call in and talk to him, the number is 214-377-1108. Talk to him or Cezanne, Keith. 214-377-1108. I take that back. Marcus, our engineer who's normally doing this, is not doing it today. And Sue Ann, who most of you know, is. She doesn't have that phone connection because they're in different offices. So forget about that. Do not call. Do not call and want to talk to him. He's not going to talk to you. But anyhow, I've got his email. He sends an email every Thursday morning. I get it right when I get in here in the office. And it's got his trades from the previous Thursday. So his returns this week were 75.11%. He had macro moment trades. He had 1, 2, 3, about 4, 156 seconds. Now that's creation to getting out of 56 seconds. 1 minute, 20 seconds, 3 minutes, 42 seconds, 2 minutes, 4 seconds. Anyhow, average per trade was 939. He's not had a negative trade since the last 48 positive trades, and that's since the 1st of October. So that's incredible stuff, incredible returns. Cezanne and Joni have the same, not quite this high, but John's a little more active, and on their trades, they've not had a loss whatsoever. No, they've had one loss, 3% loss. Over since the first of the year. Incredible trades. And of course they teach their micro moment seminars as Randy teaches his seminars and Keith also. Incredible trades. Talk about those trades, John, and how do you keep doing this? I mean, it's got just so incredible returns. I mean, who makes 75.11% a week?
Well, it's been kind of surprising.
Well, it wasn't as good as last week. Last week was 114 or something like that, wasn't it?
I think something like that, yeah. I mean, percents can be kind of deceiving, but they did pay off very nicely. And I don't even have to worry about wasting the 50-cent stamp anymore on Publishers Clearinghouse because I'm doing better than those guys. So nobody comes to the door with flowers, but other than that, it's a good trade.
It's just incredible. And how long now, John, have you been practicing these techniques with us?
Well, I started with you guys officially in 2008, I guess. I came down for the first Masters, and then I took the advanced charting class in the spring of 09, I believe it was. And kind of got into paper trading there for a little while until I felt comfortable following summer, I think, and then didn't hit it very hard at all and was pretty crummy for a couple of years, just my own learning curve and not following the rules correctly at every moment. So it was kind of a steep curve for me, but now I know what not to do. It's kind of like flying. You have to make a lot of mistakes before you start going supersonic. So
and that's why you fly. When you're doing that, you're flying in those what do you call them? Those where you don't actually crash, but it looks like you're in there.
Simulators.
Simulator.
We sure use the simulators a lot. It's amazing. So
well, that's same thing as virtual trading.
Right.
In other words, virtual trading is the equivalent to the simulators for learning how to fly aircraft, because you're not going to crash and burn. You may crash and burn on the virtual trading, but that's okay. That's why I say that's why they all those most of the online brokers have virtual trading. They give you $80,000-$90,000, and you make mistakes. And we have simple rules. The biggest problem is people try to speculate. They think they know better than the rules, and they're going to go out there and do something different, and then that's when they crash and burn, because it's simple rule-based stuff, and we never try to project what a stock's going to go. We've got very, very incredible charting systems that we've developed over the years, and tell you exactly and precisely. Cezanne and Joni's have a chart called ICE. Actually, the government's been trying to close down their site because it was just an ICE chart. They don't like ICE, but Cezanne, why don't you go ahead and explain what y'all do and the seminars you do and all that.
We teach the ICE charts, which are streaming. They're intraday streaming charts. So when the market's open and equities are trading, the indicators are moving without you hitting refresh or anything. They're streaming. And the tick, you can see the tick moving on whatever equity you type in. And so we basically teach how to read those charts. So like teaching someone to read a roadmap, and then what the indicators mean, and then how you can apply that to whatever type of trade or whatever equity you're trading. And we do that 3 times a week. We do that on Mondays and Wednesdays and Thursdays. And we take questions and emails during that time. And then also, we just taught an advanced charting class, which is not a moving streaming chart, but a chart that we use that forecasts further out. You can use the indicators for the direction of an equity, the possibilities of the upside, the downside, and we teach that on a weekend webinar every other month. So,
okay, explain when y'all do a trade how the people that subscribe to that service get those notices and how they get about when y'all are doing them.
Okay, so we do, like for instance, today we prepped a couple of trades each, and then we ended up having to cancel the preps based on what the charts were doing. But so when we prepare, that means we're looking at a specific strike price and potential entry point for a trade. So we send out an alert. I think you can get it on your phone, on your computer, that just shows kind of what we're looking at. And then the purpose of that is to show, you can then look at the charts and see what's happening in the charts and why we would be looking at that. And then if we do enter that trade, then you would get another alert showing that, and then what the price that we entered and the price that we would exit. But
I think the key is they're getting these alerts before you enter the trade, and they know when you're entering the trade, so they can enter the trade at the same time. And then a lot of times, like I say, they're going to be out of y'all's trades in 6 or 7 minutes, or 6 or 7 seconds. I'm sorry, 15 seconds maybe. Where keys are a little longer, but a lot of people like that. They don't want to do a trade that it's just too fast for them. They just don't want to do it. And Keith makes incredible returns. He's going to talk about that in a minute too. But I think the important thing is when you subscribe to these services, you get those trades as they do them. And I think I mentioned earlier, y'all are up, I don't know, 120 or 30%, something like that. Only one loss over just the first of the year, and 3%. And of course, we know what John's doing, and Keith can address his here in a few minutes. But all these people have been with us a long time. Keith, you've been what, 8 or 9 years?
Yeah, I think it's been about 8 now. Yep.
8 years. And Cezanne and Joni have been with us 8 or 9 years, right? Is that right, Cezanne?
Yes.
Okay.
I think maybe 7-ish.
Ever since you were 20, right?
Right, exactly.
And Randy, I guess, been there about the same time. I think he may be 9 or 10 years. I don't know. But anyhow, they all have proven records, and you do get to talk to them. You get to see them, and it's a lot of fun. And you don't have to worry about mistakes. Look at John. I mean, John made mistakes, but look what he's doing now. And he's doing it because he matured, got control of himself, grew up, started following the rules, and now look at the returns he's getting. And if you want to, have a life and not be bound to trying to save, for 30 or 40 or 50 years, it's almost impossible to do it on a consistent basis. Just too many things happen. And this way you can set a few bucks, $1,000 aside, and never touch it, never add money to it, never save. Just grow it. And it's so much simpler than saving. Just so much. Saving is so complicated. And all these financial outfits always come up with all this stuff you need to do to save this money, And it's very, very complicated and very speculative. All kinds of things can happen. Like right now, most of them are projecting 7% when they come up with these, in 40 years, you got to have $1.8 million or something like that dollars. Well, for the last 10 years, they haven't been anywhere close to 7%. So, and maybe sometimes it's a little higher. So you never know. But when you're getting these returns with the CSE technique way. Okay, Keith, up there in Nanook land, where it's really cold. Let folks know what you do.
Yeah, I do the credit spread, weekly credit spread platinum service, and we look to do open credit spreads, both the credit spreads and iron condors, which is both the call and the put side on it. And we do the webinar once a week on Tuesdays from noon to about 1:30 or East Coast time, and be able to go through the charts and answer questions for what people have, and then I'm also around to answer questions on the service. And usually about once a quarter, I do a 2-day seminar on really the detailed information on what credit spreads are and how to trade those. And just like Cezanne and Joni, any trade I'm going to do, I let you know what I'm seeing ahead of time and what I'm going to trade ahead of time. Then I let you know when I'm filled, and then also let you know what I'm doing to exit the trade. So you get all those alerts on your phone, and as well as emails for what's going on for exiting these trades.
Yeah, and you built quite a following amongst people here, because really get some good emails, and you always promptly answer. So when you subscribe to any of these services, Cezanne, Joni, Keith, whoever, when you write an email, you get an email back, and that also goes to the Cal Report. And Keith's particularly good and gets some really good questions, because his technique's a little more exotic, because it's not one you normally hear of. It's not like micro moment trading, which is really just fast trades, really fast trades. His are longer, more. Well, I'm trying to think of the word.
Methodical.
Yeah, methodical. That's right. I say intellectual trading. So
yeah, and speaking emails, I got a new client to my service I think last week, and he was a little confused as to what was going on, so he sent me a email and was able to hopefully answer his questions for what he was doing. So that was good.
Cool. And for, a good example on Cezanne and Joni on their seminar today, they had a gentleman that emailed in because he didn't understand some orange lines, what the orange lines were, and it didn't take them long to get him squared away, and he acknowledged it with another email. So it's just you have this backup. You're never just out there. You always got somebody you can call or talk to or come on this podcast or whatever. And so. Okay. Well, Randy's not here to explain his stuff. Like I say, his dad's dad, is probably, he's in hospice, and Randy's by his side at the moment. So, we feel for him on that. And Sue Ann, who did something because the blob popped up there, and Sue Ann's first time she's ever done this. Everybody knows Sue Ann. She does all kinds of stuff and communicates with all our people, and. Sue Ann, you want to say hello? I don't think anybody's ever heard your voice. Say hello, Sue Ann.
Hi, how's everyone doing today?
There you go. The blobette. She's a blobette because Marcus is the blob, and Sue Ann's a blobette. So, Sue Ann, you're never going to do this again, are you? Okay. Well, we'll call it quits. Keith, I'm going to call you about noon.
Okay.
And everything's good. Yeah. Anybody have anything they want to say?
Just happy Thanksgiving to everyone next week. So I assume we will not have a podcast on Thursday next week.
Thursday is Easter and
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
You're wanting spring to come fast.
Yeah, I know it. Well, I got all dressed up for it. Silk shirts and flip flops and my iron hat. Yes, we'll echo that same sentiments of Keith. Everybody have a happy Easter, and I'm sorry, Thanksgiving. Okay, thank you all a whole lot for being here, and thanks everybody for tuning in. Go to compoundstockearnings.com, sign up for the free Cal Report, and read and see all the stuff we do. Thanks a lot, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Katie, bye-bye.
Bye.